Shifting focus to the 20% TCS that has worried Indian tour operators. Sources tell CNBC TV18 the travel companies and banks are not yet ready to start collecting 20% TCS on foreign spends from the 1st of July. Banking sources tell CNBC TV18 that they will need more time to develop systems for the new structure. Tour operators are urging the government to roll back the 20% rate to the earlier rate of 5%. They claim such high tax will discourage travellers from buying foreign tour packages. Sapna Das joins us with more. Sapna, what are your sources in the banking industry and the travel industry telling you at this juncture?
Well, banks at their end are indicating very clearly that they are not ready for this July 1 deadline of the rollout of the new TCS regime. They seem to be indicating that there is the issue of multiple rates of TCS. For example, on 19th May, the government had said that up to 7 lakh rupee, there's going to be an exemption for individual spends on international debit and credit cards, for instance. So you have a zero rate up to 7, then beyond 7, it's going to be 20%. Similarly, you have a separate rate for education expenditure financed via loans, something different for health. So basically, the banks are indicating that probably they need some uniformity and clarity from the government at this end. And as far as these multiple rates are concerned, if that's going to be the norm, then the systems are not ready and they will have to look at a deadline much beyond July 1. Now, the government had indicated in the past that they'll be coming out with a quick clarification, but that has not happened yet. So it remains to be seen what the rates are going to be, which are going to be those categories, and whether this July 1 deadline is going to be adhered to by the government or some relaxation would be possible on that front.
All right. Thank you, Sapna, for joining us. Let's go and take it forward with Jyoti Mayal, President of Travel Agents Association of India, and Mohit Kabra, Chief Financial Officer at Make My Trip. Mohit, if I could come to you, from the 1st of July, this new 20% TCS norm is going to come into effect. What about your customers? Are you already charging 20% TCS for those who are booking tour packages for the month of July, for August, or not yet?
Hey, thanks for having me. And not yet, clearly not yet, because, this is effective only from 1st of July. And in any case, the industry is expecting some more clarity on the matter, because like you have already called out, there are a lot of administrative challenges, with the implementation. So we haven't still rolled this out. And we are hoping that we'll get some more clarity before we roll this out on 1st of July.
Right. Mohit, if I were to ask you, what are currently the operational challenges you will face if the government goes ahead with this deadline? And number two, what immediate impact do you see on people, on the volumes of people going in for purchases of tour packages?
Yeah, see, if you look at it in terms of administrative challenge, the biggest challenge is what the banking industry is going to face. Our banking system is geared up to kind of track LRS remittances in terms of payments which are made towards services which are being offered in foreign currency. Yeah. Whereas if you really look at travel services which are bought by customers from domestic travel agents, these are typically bought in INR, and therefore when you're kind of spending in INR, the ability of the customers bank to be able to track it as LRS is not there. So that's the larger issue that the banks are facing. One of the options that we had kind of proposed was, largely foreign currency related transactions happen only on international debit cards, credit cards on the overseas platforms, or when the customer is buying directly with the overseas suppliers. I think, so we had proposed that TCS should be levied only on those transactions. For the transactions that the customer does in INR on local platforms or with local travel agents, domestic travel agents, they could be kept out of the TCS network, because then the administrative machinery is in place to handle this kind of an implementation. Should that not be possible, then the least that we are kind of asking for is that whatever exemption of 7 lakhs has been made available to customers on international debit and credit cards, that should be made available to them, even if they are buying with the domestic platforms, through their domestic cards, or through UPI, net banking, irrespective of mode of payment. So essentially, whether they are buying standalone travel services or tour packages, and irrespective of whether they are paying through whichever mode of payment, this 7 lakh limit should be universally be available to the Indian customers. That's essentially what they're kind of seeking for. Depending upon how the clarification comes in, I'm sure, most
Right.
travel agents are going to scramble to kind of, meet the requirements in some form or shape. But it's not still very clear as to
Right.
how do we
Jyoti
go
Tyal,
about
if I
it.
would... Right. It's not very clear how it'll work. But Jyoti Tyal, if I were to ask you, what is the kind of extension of the deadline that you're asking for? I believe that some tour operators are also asking for a rollback.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Parikshit, for having me here. Yes, we have been asking for and demanding. Initially, last year, we were demanding a rollback from 5% itself. So we did not want that 5% also to come because it was actually making our product much more expensive than what you can get in the international market. And as our post-COVID, we were trying to revive our business. We did not want to lose out that business for the Indian travel agents. So now that the 5 was postponed for quite some time, and we were able to keep pushing the date, but suddenly we hear a 20%, which is quite a shock to the industry, because I think it's making us absolutely beyond the competitive borders. So I think we're going to get very, very expensive. So there's going to be a huge displacement of business from the Indian travel agents. And that's what the travel industry and the travel agents are very concerned about, because they are looking at losing out the business to the foreign travel agents or the foreign OTAs also who are not registered in India. So that's the first thing that comes out. And like Mohit said, we've all given as faith and all as associations and federations. We've been meeting regularly, the minister, the finance minister, the secretaries. We've written to the PMO office, the finance minister again in the last couple of days, because we still notice that there's a lot of chaos in the market. There's no clarity. And forget about the clarity. We think that it's going to create a lot of compliance issues with our travel agents. In the end, I see that travel agents have literally become like collectors of taxes more than they can earn from their packages. So I don't know how the government feels this is the correct thing to do. I think it should be rolled out. This should be only liable to the banks. And yes, we have moved for the 7 lakh bench, what Mohit just said, and we did that together a couple of days back itself. So that there's a parity between selling for everyone across the entire travel fraternity.
Jyoti
because
Mayal,
like the banks are saying they're not geared up. So are the
Jyoti
travel
Mayal,
agents.
if I were to ask you, if this 20% TCS comes into effect from next month or in the coming weeks or coming months, how much of your business would you lose to foreign tour operators?
Well, I'm on your channel, but I'm going to say this very loudly, that Indians have already started looking at getting offices offshores. They've already started investing in that. So the point is the government who are trying to get more revenues from the 20% are also going to lose out on the GST. And it's a major shift. I don't think it's a very small shift. I can't place a number rightly, but I would say at least 30 to 40% people are already moving out of India to establish offices. So I think that's going to be having a great impact on the business. The consumer himself is going directly out. Everyone has kith and kin from India. You see such a huge diaspora wherever our Honorable Prime Minister is visiting. I'm sure they can help us out to buy a small amount of packages and everything, etc. So I think that's going to be a major loss to our industry.
Right.
And I think, the government should have thought about the whole process before they roll out things, because I think that's very, very important. Not only the policies need to be correct, but even the way it's going to be, the proposal of seeing it through is very, very important, because it's going to create a lot of hue and cry in the market. Once the actual implementation is going to come, it's going to be very difficult to track it. People are going to have a lot of loopholes. People are going to struggle with the taxes. And I'm sure for the first 2 years, we are going to get many show cause notices from the income tax departments of different sorts to say, please let us know what it is. And this is going to be a huge challenge for our industry. And we really are stuck. I wish they would push it. They would give us more clarity to us before they actually put the whole process. It's so easy, with technology here, to link the travel agents' passports to the consumers' passports, to the PAN cards, to the to the income tax, to the Aadhaar card. I don't know why this penalization of the entire sorts is
Jyoti
the
Mayal,
onus of the travel agents.
We are running out of time.
That's what I said. We are struggling with all the compliances.
Okay, Jyoti Mayal, we're running out of time. Mohit Kabra, thank you very much for joining us here on News Center, giving us your view. Let's see what decision the government says. In fact, we're learning that the government may come out with more clarifications in the days to come. That's all we have time for. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Parikshit.